Today we're gonna answer 2 listener questions, and then I'm gonna do my check-in. Did I meet my weight loss goals for this week? From Free to Finance says, I am trying so hard to get on with my weight loss, but I am getting so lazy in lockdown. Is anyone else having this problem? Well, yes and no. In fact, it was that exact laziness, it was that apathy, maybe borderline depression that drove me to start this, right? My routines got ripped away. And you're kind of just figuring out, what do I want to do? Does it even matter? That sort of thing. I step on the scale and I see 202 pounds. And for me, that was just, you've got to do better. You've got to do something different. But hear me on this, the diet, the exercise, once you commit and you're there, I'm gonna share a secret. It's kind of easy. I mean, it's not actually hard. What Free to Finance is mentioning right here, that's the hard part, the mental game. How do you decide that something is important enough to start and then sustain for 100 to 200 days? If you follow the plan for 100 to 200 days, you'll be a completely different person at the end of this, probably half the person you used to be. But it's fine to say something's important to you right now or later on this evening or maybe tomorrow, but is it still gonna be important to you a week from now, 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now? 2 sources of inspiration for me this spring have actually been Michael Jordan, courtesy of his bio documentary series, The Last Dance, which is incredible, by the way, and David Goggins. Now, Michael Jordan needs no introduction, greatest of all time. It'd be hard to dispute that. But in a sport that I'm not particularly interested in, as a slow, average, athletic, 5'8" guy, basketball for me was always a way for me to feel small and inconsequential. It's a source of pain all the way back to high school. Anyways, now that I've had a chance to relive that with you, let me tell you why it's inspiring to me. This man won 6 NBA championships over a period of 10 years. But what I find so inspiring about Michael Jordan was how he was able to cultivate this mental fortitude and the lengths that he went to keep it interesting in his mind to maintain that level of focus, that level of play. In the NBA, everybody's a great player. They're all great. So why is he the greatest of all time? And how did he maintain that for over 10 years? It's a fascinating case study in what it takes to want it more than anyone else. What does it look like when you go into every single practice, every single game, when you carry those chips on your shoulder, and when nothing's wrong, you can't make the game matter enough, you manufacture something to make it matter more. And that's not a sprint. That's not something you can just show up today and then go on break, it's the weekend, whatever. He maintained that for over a decade. Can we do it for 100 days? Could we create a monologue, a narrative about our goals for 100 days? All right, that's 1. 2, David Goggins. David Goggins is increasingly a known name, but in case I'm introducing him to you, David Goggins found himself, I think, over 100 pounds overweight with this goal to be a Navy SEAL. To become a Navy SEAL, that is probably the hardest gauntlet, the hardest job to get. And it's a job that you get through attrition. You have to survive. You have to last. The gauntlet that is, SEAL boot camp. He gives all the credit to being able to strengthen his mindset, right? His body, his physique, everything followed strengthening his mindset. And now I believe I've heard him say, it's easy to be great when everybody's mind is so weak. So yeah, we could talk about the diet, we can talk about the exercise, we will do that. I'm going to, in fact, in this video. This is a mental game. And if you can't draw on your own inspiration, if you're not inspired by yourself or the actions you've taken up to this point, can we borrow some inspiration from these great individuals that have accomplished remarkable things? I want to come back to it. There's so much more here, but this is something that's been sitting with me. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And while I get no FaceTime with Michael Jordan or David Goggins, I siphon inspiration from them. They are part of the sphere of influence for me currently. And because of that, I take just a tiny little piece of that mental fortitude and I apply it to this very concrete, specific goal to achieve this health transformation. Question number 2 from GameLord12. Do you, or could you, have a walkthrough of what a few days worth of meals looks like for you? I can cook a few healthy meals, but I exhaust my catalog of what to cook fairly quickly and end up falling back on easier, less healthy foods, especially when the healthy stuff doesn't keep for as long and the whole pandemic thing encourages fewer trips to the grocery store. I'm roughly the same size as your starting weight, so for me that was 5'8", 202 pounds, give or take a few inches, so it's nice to see that this could be me, and yes, I watch The Laws of Lean. So this is the 5th video in the series, playlist right here. There'll also be a link at the end of the video and down in the description. Watch all the videos. They basically walk you through this journey. We're now 40 days in and proceeding from here. But this question's a really good one. The laws of lean, which was the 3rd video, is probably one of the most important videos in the series because it breaks down what I'm actually doing. But those are the rules. What does life actually look like? Let me share my life with you. My morning routine varies, and I'm still trying to find the quote unquote perfect morning routine, but what is fixed in stone is that at 7 o'clock, my son comes to check on me. We have a sleep timer in his room, and when it turns green, he can leave his room. That timer turns green at 7 a.m., and at 7 a.m., like a bolt of lightning, he comes to find me. We hang out for about 30 minutes while my wife feeds our daughter, and then we go downstairs at 7:30, and I start each and every day with a black cup of coffee. Love it. From there, it depends on the day. You know, if you've watched my Laws of Lean, that I try to work out 3 to 5 days a week. For me, workouts typically look like lifting weights. And so if it's one of those days, after I've gotten everybody settled downstairs, I will immediately go on an empty stomach. I'll go to the garage and I will do 30 minutes of cardio to start this workout. Cardio could be a bike, it could be a row machine, it could be a walk or a run around the block. But it's about 30 minutes, and that just gets the blood flowing, gets the heart rate up, gets a little sweat going. And then from there, I will do one of 3 or 4 different traditional standard weightlifting workouts. I'll actually have a picture of the ones that I'm using right now, but it could, it can change. These are not the end all be all workouts. There really isn't one, but this is the routine. It's nice for me to know when I go to the garage what I'm actually doing. From there, now we're looking at probably 9:30 to 10:30, somewhere in that range. This is traditionally where I eat my first meal of the day, and it comes to one of probably 3 or 4 options. I'm gonna give you 3 of them today. I don't count calories. I've tried to count calories in the past, off and on, going back to it. I'm in my 30s, life is short. It just feels like a constraint that I just don't want. It overly complicates things. I'm done with it. I don't think I need it. I think if I follow the laws of lean, I'm seeing the results. So as long as I can get away with not counting calories, I'm not going to. The key here is instead of us confining ourselves or constraining ourselves to a certain number of calories, what we actually do is get in tune with what our body is telling us. And once you cut out the processed sugar, you find that it's much easier. So first meal, what I did this morning actually was eggs. I usually make an omelet for myself and my wife. It's like 3 eggs. It'll be some form of either milk or heavy cream or half and half, something like that to just lighten it, add some fluff to the eggs, some seasoning, salt, pepper, etc. Butter, in the pan, and we'll make an omelet. Now on top of that, we'll do some toppings. So maybe, it depends. You talked about vegetables going off. What vegetables do we still have left that we've used throughout the week? So, today it was green onions and regular onions. Maybe sometimes we have like grape or cherry tomatoes. If we had bell peppers, we would use those, cheese, and then the secret ingredient for a delicious omelet, which I only started doing this year, salsa verde. I'm telling you, my friends, that is the key right there. Option number 2, even more simple, just oatmeal. Half cup of oatmeal, put some water in there, microwave it until the oatmeal firms up, add on to that some butter, cinnamon, blueberries, fresh or frozen, banana, Truvia packet, which is just stevia portioned out into kind of a traditional sized packet. That's option 2. If you want to add a little sweetener on top of that, sometimes I'll add a little bit of blueberry jam. Not necessary, but I do it sometimes. Option 3 could be a protein shake. Could just be whey protein and water. Actually, this is like one of my go-tos. I will put about 1 to 2 cups of water in a glass. I will put a big handful of fresh spinach in there. And then I'll add to it about half cup to 3/4 a cup of orange juice, and then 1 scoop or 1.5 scoops of protein, about 30 grams of protein. That's a great way of massively increasing your vegetable intake without a whole lot of resistance, and it tastes decent enough. So those are kind of the 3 options for breakfast. Lunch is either meal prep, when I make a bunch of meals in bulk, usually 1 or 2 days a week, or it could be leftovers from dinner. We'll get to dinner in a second. Let's talk about meal prep. So I buy about 4 to 6 pounds of meat once a week. Typically it's chicken, although it could be beef in the form of steak or ground beef. And if it's chicken, I will cut the chicken breast in half, and then I will marinate them in some form of a marinade. I think Lowry's it's a very inexpensive one. It's a 15, 30 minute marinade. I will marinate those chicken breasts for 1 to 2 days. Then I'll just go to the grill and I will cook all of them in one batch. I actually use just a cheap, inexpensive charcoal Weber, and I cook them all at once, and I will portion it out over the next 3 or 4 days. Sometimes if we want a little extra protein at night, I'll just have it in the evening. For a carb source to go along with that chicken, it'll either be rice or it'll be sweet potatoes, broccoli or Brussels sprouts, carrots. Costco sells this tzatziki sauce in a pretty large container. It's a Greek yogurt plus some seasonings, I believe dill and lime or lemon. Amazing. And tzatziki sauce I just use as like a topping, and it kind of, if the chicken gets dry by the second or third day, you can add some of that and it'll add in some really incredible flavor back. But keep it simple. As I said, the other option for lunch just could be an additional protein shake. I never want to be starving, so if in the middle of the afternoon now, so we had our breakfast around 10:30, lunch maybe around 12:30 or 1, if in the mid-afternoon I feel like I need something else, maybe it would be another protein shake, and then we have dinner. So dinner is either having the meal prep again in the form I just mentioned for lunch, or right now for our meals, we're heavily leaning on the Barrett Top 50. For more information, these are meals that are delicious, they're healthy, and they're inexpensive. For more information, go to choosify.com/meals. My family over the last couple weeks has made 4 of them, and we make them in bulk. We did a spicy chicken tortilla casserole. We did a ginger Thai, lettuce wraps, and then today we did a white chicken chili. There was one more that was a vegetarian option as well, but we rolled through those, and there's 50 options there for you to pick from. I don't think it's particularly limiting, and find something that you enjoy, but I certainly try to spend as little time in the kitchen as possible. And some combination of those, plus if you need to go out occasionally, something like Chipotle, every once in a while is something that we will do. That's it, man. The largest thing here is that you do not get overwhelmed by all of the options to where you just don't do anything. Just pick a few things and then you can add 1 or 2 in on an as-needed basis, but limit the amount of time that you have to make an actual choice. Most of the time, you just go to the fridge and grab something and it's there for you. Yeah, that's it. Hope that helps. If you have additional questions, just put them in the comments. We'll tackle them in an upcoming video. Now, let's go see if I hit my weight goal. So to set for context, last week I weighed in at 190.8 pounds. I'm still occasionally, I'm right at that about 2 pounds a week. That's the goal here. So success this week for me is if I can slide under 189. Man, I'd love to get out of the 190s. So let's go see if I did it.